So, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. So, the footage that you have just watched, look, it's not new footage that no one has seen before. I'm sure the vast majority of you have seen it. But this is footage that was taken from at least one of the individual parties that were going on the night that Kiely vanished. And you can see this small section. There was certainly a lot going on. It would appear that there was a lot of people there. There was a situation where these cars were being driven around that could have potentially ended up in an accident. Someone could have been hurt, couldn't they? And I don't think we can deny that. Anyone can deny that. And what do we know? We know that at some point in this evening, Kiely would leave this area, either under her own steam or not, and end up in a body of water where she would be found a few days later. And that raises a few questions to me. So first of all, I'm going to put it out there that someone is indeed lying and someone is hiding something. They make no bones about it. That is a fact. And I will go as far as saying that is a fact. And I know people say, look, you're going down rabbit holes. You're making stuff up. You can't say it's fact. We don't know what's fact. But do you know what? I was a teenage once, and we've all been to many, many parties, and parties just like this one. You know, I have teenagers in my life who go to parties, and, you know, she was with someone at this party. She was either with the people who she went to the party with, or they had dispersed and went amongst other people. But she wasn't on her own at this party. She wasn't wandering around aimlessly on her own, to the point where she wasn't seen by anyone. No one saw her. She didn't speak or interact with anyone, and then she just got in her car, turned left when she should have turned right, and ended up driving into a body of water stone cold sober, having only sort of minutes before that, 30, 40 minutes before that, telling her mum she would be leaving and heading home. I'm not buying it. I am not buying it, and I've said it before. This reeks of problems. You know, this young girl, she was not invisible. She wasn't walking around with some cloak that hid her from everyone. This party was allowed. It was definitely had older kids there that could have potentially been handing out drugs. It could have happened. We're not seeing any proof of that in this video here, but these things go hand in hand together, don't they? Large parties, 200 to 300 people arrive, and cars and, you know, girls and boys together, and one of these girls ends up deceased. And nobody wants to say anything. Someone put in the comments, they said it's preposterous saying that no one would say anything because of their education. I wouldn't do it. One word to that, and that is bollocks. Of course they would. Either you've never been around teenagers before, or you are incredibly naive. If something's happened at this and the parents are advising people that you need to stay out of it because this could escalate and it could impact your future, then that's gonna happen. They're gonna keep their mouth shut. I can see the conversation now. The parents telling the kids, if you know anything, if you saw anything, you need to shut your mouth. An accident that happened with a silly girl getting drunk, driving into a lake, and that could ruin your entire future. So if I was you, I'd keep your mouth shut. Didn't see nothing, you didn't hear anything. There's too many people not saying anything to make this plausible. Even afterwards, the fact that these officers, this law enforcement outfit, didn't see her car. What they didn't see, the tyre tracks leading right down to the water's edge. They were searching that area. We've heard that there is at least one camera that shows cars coming on and off that site, and Kiely wasn't on that camera. So they knew that she was around that site. How could they not see a car in 14 feet of water? And people are turning around and saying, it's harder than you think. It's harder than you think. Not at 14 feet, it ain't. In relatively clear water. This is a silver car, 14 feet under the surface of the water, clear water, summer's sunny days, and you would have seen tyre tracks leading down to the water. You would have seen from above something in the water. There were people on YouTube as a platform that could see things in the water. It was seen. The car was seen by people. This Adventures with Purpose come out there, and people are saying, oh, they had nowhere else to search. It wasn't that they found it in 40 minutes. They were looking everywhere, and they went, no, yeah, but this body of water, this area, they'd found the car within 40 minutes of being there, and that car had sat in there for now a duration of time. So it would have had sediment covering it. It wouldn't have been as visible as it was days and days ago. Something, again, I say every time I do a video on this that something stinks, and it does, and I'm not just saying it because it for any other reason that it stinks. This situation stinks. This girl went to the party with someone, she hung about with some people, she told someone she was leaving, or she left with someone, or someone left and took her, but I'm not buying it that this girl went to this party, nobody saw her, nobody really knows anything about what happened, she left with nobody knowing that she'd left, she left on her own, apparently didn't know her way home from an area that she lived around, and ended up driving. We don't know whether it was drunk, we don't know whether it was sober, ended up driving into a body of water. And I've seen the video that shows from sort of a local's perspective what that would be like driving around at night. But that only gives you a representation of what that's like for a video. It doesn't give you a representation of what it's like for a 16-year-old in her car driving at that time. You know, we don't know anything about that drive for her. We don't know if she was indeed driving. Was she driving, and was she driving at 5 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour? We don't know. That's just an interesting video that shows somebody driving that route at night. There you go. That's all that tells me. Doesn't tell me anything beyond that. And are we going to learn more toxicology? What's that going to tell us? Now, the law in California will state that the autopsy and toxicology results shouldn't be suppressed. But there is a loophole that states that the parents could be asked if they want to suppress them, and then they have the ability to do that. Some of you will know that law more, but again, there is a law in this state surrounding the suppression of these pieces of information. Unless it's a murder investigation where there has been a conviction, I believe. Something to do with that. So we may get it, indeed. We may indeed get it. It might even be if the toxicology test comes back and says she was sober, her mum may want to release that information to prove that something happened to her daughter. It could be that. She could then be advised by FBI or law enforcement out there not to do so. But what ultimately does that tell us? Even if it comes back and says she was drunk, doesn't really tell us anything. It just tells us what the people who said that she was at the party and was very, very drunk to the point where she was unable to hardly walk or talk, it could therefore concrete the fact that there was foul play, because it would sort of bring into question whether Kiely could have sent that text to her mum herself, and indeed if she could have driven all that way round to the lake and ended up in the water. I told you, when I'd had a few, when I was younger in a rugby club car park, I got in the car and got about 2 foot. Never again. Maybe I was a lot more drunk than she was. Let me know where you are so far. Again, that party, looks like there was a lot of people there. There was potential for things to happen. Kiely went invisible. It would appear that she was invisible to a lot of the people around here, including law enforcement, who failed to find her car upon searching. But there we go. She's not invisible anymore. See you in the next one.